welcome everyone, the people who's watching live, and then we have to welcome the ones who will be joining us via
replay.
YouTube. Yep. And this week we decided to talk about negativity. Of course, we went through some of it this week.
Always.
So we just wanted to bring it before you. And you ready to talk, Christy?
Let's talk.
Let's talk.
I feel like we should probably first acknowledge the fact that we are obviously both completely sick and have been on our backs probably for like, I don't know, 3. Well, really not even on our backs because we're still like
trying to work
going. But we're battling it. So we prayed right before we came on that we don't have coughing attacks and stuff. So excuse the way we look and sound, but we are definitely excited to
still be here with
you guys. Yes. Especially with this topic, because with this topic, when it hit us this week, we were like, yes, definitely. And then the more and more I dug into it, I'm like, dang, this goes for everybody. Yeah. And there's truly a reason why we decided to call it the negativity trap, because you do get into it.
Trapped into it.
It's a cycle. It's a cycle that we can find ourselves in. And so we wanted to talk about that tonight and just really talk about, okay, first let's just talk about just like the basics of negativity. I can't even think right now. I'm so sick. But the basics of negativity, right? So sometimes it could just be like a negative day, right? But it perpetuates. So I wake up, the alarm goes off, I hit it too many times, now I'm late. And then I start getting ready and I got to get the kids up, and now they're arguing with me about getting out the door, what they're going to wear, what they're going to eat. And so now I'm running late, and then I spill my coffee, can't find my keys, traffic, blah, blah, blah. And then we can find ourselves where we get in that rut where we're like, oh my gosh, nothing ever goes right.
Yeah, but that's because of the first negative thing that we allow to come in and be a part of us. It trickles down to more negative events, and then your whole day is negative. Then your whole week is negative.
It's a trap.
Your whole month is negative.
It's a trap.
It's so real though. That's so real.
It is so real. And and then you can also kind of go even broader than that and think about like the people who always say, every time I take 2 steps forward, I get knocked down 5 steps back. Or the people in your life. I've got some that I absolutely love and adore, friends and family, who just seems like no matter what, they can't catch a break. It's just like storm after storm, battle after battle. I'm not sure if anybody has ever experienced that. I'm checking to see if there's anybody already commenting. But there is a reason. We're perpetuating it. We're allowing it to happen.
Yes.
Here's the thing, you guys. We are in a negative world. There is no denying it. You cannot get on social media or hop on the news for more than a few minutes.
Yes, without some bad news or just foolishness. Like I told Kevin earlier. Kevin was looking. I was like, why are you even watching that? He was like, well, it's what's going on in the world. And I'm like, some of it is made up.
Yes.
All of this negativity, we feed into it. And now we're living negative lives because of the things that we're seeing. Like you said, social media, the news.
Yeah.
Social media is real big. We're believing everything that we're seeing that people are posting.
Yes.
And all of it is fake. It's not real.
Yeah.
It's not reality.
Yeah, we're not going to even talk about when it all started and all that good stuff, but we all can acknowledge that there is so much negativity on social media. And so, we're hit with it every day, and so it only makes it even harder to get out of this negativity trap. And so, first thing I want to tell you guys is that there is probably, because when we're preparing for a message, like we always try to think about what makes our message different, or how is our message going to help somebody differently than every other book out there that's about positive thinking, the power of positivity, how to get rid of negative thoughts, all that kind of stuff. Like, what makes this different? And really, the biggest thing that I can say that stands out to me, why this message is different, is really the same reason why I believe this self-help industry is now, we're seeing it collapse. That's a $45 billion industry, and it is literally collapsing on itself. And the reason it's collapsing on itself is because while the self-help industry, it's got a lot of great foundation core philosophies and concepts, I mean, really, honestly, almost everything that you read in the self-help industry actually came from Jesus. They're just, everybody's just plagiarizing. And then I think over the years, as more and more gurus and experts and came out of the woodworks, then people got further and further away from the Bible. And now now it's my concept. Now it's my theory. Now it's and it's like, no, it all traces back to Jesus. You're plagiarizing. But regardless. But so the biggest key piece that they're missing, and this may be why you're in the trap too, because you're missing it. But the only way we are going to break free from toxic thinking, negativity, is to connect to the vine. We have to connect to the vine. And so then what happens is with the self-help industry, they teach us how to assess a negative thought or negative thinking and how to really start digging in and understanding why we're thinking this way. But they don't teach us how to get rid of it. And that's what we wanted to do. Yeah. That's what we wanted to help everybody understand, how you can break it off and how you can free yourself from being a toxic thinker, a negative thinker. And I want to just stop and also just add right here, I was a very negative person. And what's crazy is, as positive and happy as you know me to be now, I've always put that out there. Like anybody who knew me, the happy, sunshiny, always smiling, very positive. I'm so good at empowering other people. I'm so good at speaking positive life into other people and encouraging them. I suck at it for myself. I've always done. So even though I was projecting to the world this positive, happy, sunshiny person, I was not. I was miserable. I was just trapped in negativity. And the way my negativity looked is just, I was full of worry. I was full of doubt. I was the person who, half glass empty type of person. I was the person who was always waiting for the ball to drop or the other shoe to fall or something. Like I was just always anticipating and expecting the worst. Now, the problem with that is it starts to snowball into all areas of your life then, right? So then it starts to affect relationships and you start expecting the worst from other people. And then all of a sudden now you become very egocentric. It's just the natural part of the brain. Now it's like, well, why did she look at me like that? Or did she just say something about me? Or why did he look?
That self-talk.
Yes. And the thing is like, we get so caught up in it. It's like, they probably weren't even looking at you. They probably were staring in your direction and then like thinking about like, I don't know, dinner they have to do that night or something. I mean, it's just, we become so egocentric. And so we have to learn how to break that off. And for me, I didn't even understand or realize how negative I was until I really started understanding the brain and the mind. And so we're going to talk about that, of course. But then when I really started understanding it, I was like, dang, I've been this way my whole life. And I had no idea. And so anyways, all right, so let's talk about the vine, because this is the part where I really started to break it off. And so I'm going to pull up the verse. So for some people who may not know. So the verse is in John 15 and it's 5-7. And in this verse, he talks about, I am the vine and you are the branches. Yep. So if we are connected to him, we're the branches off the vine. So he's telling us he's going to produce in us the fruits of the Spirit. The fruits of the Spirit is in Galatians 5. And this was something, I wasn't even raised in church like Nikisha was. And so, but I just remember Galatians 5 and the fruits of the Spirit. I would see it on like wall quotes or whatever, t-shirts. And it talks about the fruits of the Spirit. So the fruits of the Spirit are love, joy, peace, kindness, patience, goodness, and faithfulness. He is telling us that he has designed us to have all of these gifts. They're called the fruits of the Spirit. But guess what? They cannot grow and flourish in us if we do not connect to him. Yeah. That is the missing link with the self-help industry. That is the missing link for all of you who have tried to break free of worry and doubt and negativity. That's the missing link, is that we weren't connecting into the vine, or we haven't been connecting into the vine. And so the reason we need to connect into the vine is because when we have negativity and we have toxic thinking, we have to be able to break it off. Yeah. The way we break it off is we have to assess it, and we'll talk about that, and then we have to replace it.
And I just want to chime in on that when you say how you've always been a negative person, and I feel like since I was young, I was always connected to the vine. I always had that connection for some reason. So negativity, I really didn't do well with. But when you begin to disconnect, don't mean that you're fully breaking away, because God sticks with his people. You know, he's always there. Even when we try to run or we try to move, he's always there. But even when you feel yourself pulling away from the vine, that's when the negativity creeps up. Being around people who have negative thoughts and who's always speaking negative things, that's when I begin to worry. That's when I begin to see. And another good thing is when you begin to make other things more important than God.
Yes.
You know, like my pastor said yesterday, we begin to magnify our problems when we're supposed to be magnifying God. And magnifying our problems. Okay, now I have a job. I'm secure. This is where I make my money. Then when I choose to walk away from that job and I'm no longer making that money in it anymore, I feel unsafe. But that's because I'm not connected to the vine I should be. Because if I was connected to the vine like I should be, I would know he's going to provide all of my needs.
That's right.
So that's when negativity kicks in, when you truly disconnect or you grow apart from the vine by being around things that's not vine-like.
Yes, I mean, I think about like the phrases that are out there, like broken people break people. And,
that's true.
I mean, and that is true, and this is why, is because the mind is only fixated. Okay, so when we have a negative thought, you guys, we actually, there's chemical changes in the brain that mimic like a high. It's an endorphin rush. Like the dopamine kicks up when we experience negativity, and I'm going to explain why in a minute. But this is what happens. This is why we get addicted to it. But we're not supposed to get addicted to it. So when we get this surge, this negativity high, the dopamine rush, we want to sustain that. And so what we end up doing is then it can't sustain. The only negativity can't sustain. So you're going to get that rush, but that rush is going to go away. That's why when something bad happens and then you think you've put it away and you've buried it and then it surfaces again, or somebody says something and it triggers back up, the whole reason that it's that dopamine rush, and you want to like fixate on it again, and you want to like keep going with it again, and that's a dopamine rush. But if you replace it with the positive, with the healthy, that dopamine rush will not go away. It'll just stay. So
that's before you break it down, it's crazy, because you remember in our Bible study how they talked about a negative thought or a bad thought. It's like someone you don't invite over to dinner. But you choose to open the door, you choose to let it in, and then you choose to feed it, and you choose to let it sit, and then you can't get rid of it.
That's right.
But if that negative thought knocks on the door and you answer it with truth, then that negative thought can't come in. That's because you're stopping it right there. So
you're breaking it off.
You're breaking it off.
Right there. Yep.
But I know you like to get into how you break it off. So
yeah. Well, I'm looking over here, the comment, fallen fruits grow rotten. That's going to bring me right into going back to the fruits of the Spirit. So we talked about the fruits of the Spirit, and I just want to kind of point out, like, and this is where I feel like I can almost sound a little cheesy. So y'all just hang tight and let me like explain this. We were designed to be of love.
Yeah.
We are designed to be of love. Now, that sounds cheesy and hokey.
It's not cheesy. It's not.
Yeah, but it can, for some people, sound cheesy and hokey because we think of love as being the worldly love, the fleshly love, where it's more of an emotion, it's more of a feeling. I'm talking about God love. God love is action. God love is
unconditional. He has an agape love. It's never ending. It's all the love that you need. It's like nothing you can do can turn off his love.
Right.
There's no turning his back on us. That's the kind of love he has for us.
So. And that's the kind of love that we're designed to be, to show others as well.
It's not cheesy.
Yeah. Well, but it's when you say it, like, I'm like, we're all supposed to be loving, and people are like, okay, you hippie girl with your peace sign, and but I mean, really, we're designed to be in love, right? Or to be of love. So if we know we're designed to be of love, we're designed to have the fruits of the Spirit. So those rotten fruits, what happens when those come in? It's because we've allowed something to come in to attack us, right? So it could be somebody said something about us, somebody gossiped about us, somebody disrespected us, or Nikisha and I were talking earlier this week. It's usually like our triggers for both of us was if we were disrespected or talked about or something like that, or a loved one. Like both of us have that same kind of like mama bear mentality with friends and family and stuff. And so we would attack. Okay, when we do that, obviously we're not acting of the fruits of the spirit, and we're not connecting into the vine. And now we've created this dopamine effect. So now it's like addicting, and then we kind of get into this, and now we're starting to form habits. We're actually training our brain to start responding this way.
Yes.
So when we experience these negative feelings and emotions, we're supposed to. So God actually allowed us to feel these feelings. So remember how we talked about a few weeks ago how God designed us, well, I mean, not designed us to, but he promised we're going to go through trials. We're going to go through storms. We're going to have tribulations. And guess what? People are not going to like you. People are going to talk about you. People are going to lie about you. I mean, it's just life. This is what's going to happen. So he's designed us to understand, like, okay, when we're not in that love feeling, when we're not in the fruits of the spirit, it sends up alerts. It tells our brain, whoa, stressor, something's going on. And so we get these heightened alerts that start like making us like, you know, and so it's at this point though that we were designed to start activating our mind. So remember, we talked about this so many times, but I'm going to say it again. The mind controls the brain, right? So the mind is the last part of the brain that's formed. And God gave us this mind. It's almost, I call it our gift. It's our prefrontal cortex. It's the last part of the brain to form. And this was designed for us to be able to stand outside of ourselves. Literally, this is what's mind-blowing. Like God gave us this mind to be able to stand outside of ourselves and to really think and to feel and to sense. And then we get to choose. What are we going to do with this? Are we going to wire it in, or is it not true and I need to replace it with the truth, get rid of it and get the good stuff in? And so that's what we were designed to do. So when you feel that, you honestly, I mean, some of you can be honest right here and tell, but I literally, when I start to feel it, my blood boils. Like I literally feel my everything inside of me where I'm just like, I'm getting ready to rage on you and it's not going to be nice. I feel it and my heart starts racing. And I mean, like I feel these chemical changes in me. Now that I am activated in my conscious mind, I recognize these. But now for some of you, you may not recognize it, right? So you hit the, like you get triggered and you go 0 to 100 and you're like, what the hell just happened? Or what the heck just happened? Sorry. But you're like, what just happened? How did I get there that fast? And it's because you haven't trained your conscious mind yet. So that's what we're going to talk about is this conscious mind. And he gave us the conscious mind too. Like it's in,
third eye.
It is our third eye. But 1 Timothy 1:19, he says that we have to have a good conscience. People who have rejected this rejected having a good conscience, have no moral compass. In Titus 1:15, he tells us, this is what makes me feel so much better. Like, you have people who attack you and all this kind of stuff that we said. And this is usually the trigger, right? And I see the trigger all the time on social media. That's why I had to even jump off of it for a while because I got so tired of seeing it all. I see somebody post something, I see somebody comment on something, and then I can see the trigger, and then it's just attack. People are not thinking, they're not using that conscious part of the mind. Titus 1:15 in the Bible tells us that the corrupt and unbelieving are both in their mind and in their conscience. And when they're corrupted like that, you can't fix them. It's definitely in their mind. It's in their conscience. And these same people, he even tells us in there, they're the same people that know God. They profess to know God. They profess to love God. And yet they are still not activating their conscious mind. And I think, honestly, I think sometimes Christians are some of the most negative people I've ever met. I mean, I'm not saying that this is only like a non-believer versus believer. No, I think Christians sometimes get so caught up in the legalistic views and rules and beliefs and customs and rituals. And I'm like, you've now just lost whole sight of everything that the Bible is telling us.
And just like we were talking in the beginning of the week, how I was saying to you, I feel like me defending Christ to someone does nothing for me. That does nothing for me, because at the end of the day, I feel like we all have to make a choice to be happy for ourselves. Whatever makes us happy, whatever floats your boat, you go head on and you do that. For me, this is what I believe in. This is what gets me through life. This is what encourages me. This is what inspires me, and this is what makes me happy. So therefore, I'm going on this. And I have to know it for myself. Because like you said, you have Christians who turn the word into what they want it to be.
Yeah.
You know, they flip it on what they want it to be, and you following rules that's not even actual rules. You're following what man says. So at the end of the day, you have to know this stuff for yourself.
Yeah.
And you have to embrace it and feel it for yourself and know, hey, when you made that decision, I'm going on this because I know it for myself, not off of what somebody else said.
That's
because
right.
if you get hurt in the end, you're being hurt off of what somebody else said, not off of your own beliefs, not off of what you truly feel. So for me, this is what I believe in. And if I believe in it, what is it going to hurt you?
Yeah.
And I don't impose, like, even though we get on these lives and we speak because this is what we believe in, and this is what we feel, but this is not to impose God on anyone. This is not to force a religion on anyone. This is just like, basically we started off talking about the mind, but for us, we're intrigued with the way that the mind is set up and how the science, it kind of go hand in hand with the Bible. No, that's what I'm saying. So that's what excites us. It's not really that we want to jump on here and just throw God down people's throat. No, this is just what we believe, and it's where we're at right now in our life. It's what's making us happy, and it's keeping us going. So if whatever is keeping you going, you just go on what you have got going on, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, I think, so going back to even how we were talking about like that natural response he gave us that ability to understand, like when something negative happens, he gave us that to say, okay, wait, something is going on. But again, remember, he gave us that so we can process it and then move on. But the problem is we're not moving on.
Yeah, and the thing is, I can't lie. Like, I have to be thankful from the start of what we've done, because now it's so evident. When something, you know, this just happened this week, something happens, I catch it right away, and I'm like, you thought you had me, because some things make you just go, I wanna wild out right now. I wanna cut up really bad, but right now I'm able to catch things at the beginning, and I'm like, it's not even worth my energy. It's not even worth my time, because all it is gonna do is take me off track.
That's right.
That's all it's doing. These things that come our way, these small attacks, because that's what they are. These small attacks, the negativity, all of those things that's being thrown your way is to knock you off track.
That's right.
And I keep saying it, and I'm going to say it over and over again. 2019 is a good year. And if the enemy, if whatever y'all have, whatever you believe in, if you allow it to knock you off your track, then you lose sight of destiny.
That's right.
You lose sight of what your goal is. And if anything can knock you off track, they've succeeded. Yeah. And now you're taking steps back on your success. Yeah. So now we can't allow those negative thoughts. It's a trap. It is. It's time to get out of that trap. It's time to break loose of that trap and no longer be in bondage to this negativity.
Yep. So we were designed to just be able to move on from it, but we're not, and we're holding on to it. And so what happens then, if we now look at the science of how the brain and mind works, right? So if we hold on to something for more than 48 hours, at this point, now we're starting to process it as a long-term memory. You guys, you are literally we have the ability. We get to wire our brain. Yes. That's what's so mind-blowing. So we talked a lot about free will last week and, other weeks. We have the choice, and this comes down to it too. And I know this can be hard to accept and take sometimes when you're like ridden with anxiety and ridden with so many other things. But like we can, and we can learn how to control it. Okay, we can learn how to control it. Now, I'm not saying that medication isn't the answer. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying we can learn how to control it because God designed us to be able to. And I mean, this is. Okay, so if 48 hours, it starts to become a long-term memory. Now we're starting to wire in and teach our brain how to learn to deal with toxic negative thinking instead of teaching our brain how to process it and get it out. So we've got to get it out. And so we got to get rid of, that dopamine rush feeling, that high that we get off of it. We've got to realize that is not going to last, and we got to get rid of it. Yes. Okay, so
that was good.
Remember that, no thought is harmless. There is there is no insignificant thought. There's none, because we've already talked about every thought we have, it creates matter in our brain. Remember the mushroom caps? So every thought we have, and so there is no thought harmless. And so we've got to be in a place where we can start capturing these
controlling our thoughts.
Yes. And then when you capture it, you start asking questions, and you're like, wait a minute, like what? Like, is this true? Like if I saw somebody commented or did a post on me on social media or something, I have to stop and say, is this true? You know, and then I have to go through how is this making me feel? Like, how am I choosing to react?
Yes.
Is this even worth
choice? Yes. We have the choice on how we receive what we see, what we hear, and actions that's brought towards us. We have the choice and that's the point of, we have the choice to figure out what's going on in our head, what we're going to allow in, and what we're not going to allow in. Like, we truly have that power. Yeah. And until we understand that we have that power, negative thoughts are going to creep in, because it's what we live in a negative world. Yeah. So it's what we're accustomed to. We're accustomed to negativity. You don't, like, if you pay attention, there's more negative than positive in everything that we do.
That is so true.
Everything that we do.
And so, I mean, you're the people you hang around and stuff. I mean, or even like, you know, if you family or whatever, I mean, it can be anywhere, but the more we're around it, the more used to it. It becomes the norm for us. And that's what we're saying. Like, we have to learn how to capture it and stop it from becoming this long-term memory. Okay, let me tell you now. Okay, so we talked about the brain and the mind and all this yummy, awesome stuff, right? Okay, so 48 hours is our mark. So this is why I tell people now, like, this is what I've started to do. When something bad happens to me, somebody says something, my buttons are pushed, whatever, like, I'm 24-hour rule. Cry about it. I'm going to vent about it. No. 24 hours. That's it. No longer. After that, it's gone. Because I know on day three, it's going to start wiring in, and I'm not going to allow it to.
Long time.
Yes.
So, and that's when that situation pop back up, you get fired up again, because you've allowed it to go to the back.
So we're going to get into quantum physics, because I always talk about this when we talk about the brain and mind. But so under quantum physics, there is this quantum Zeno theory, and it actually tells us that it's the repeated effort into something that causes learning to take place. So the quantum Zeno theory states, if whatever you do in a repeated action, that's now perpetuated learning to take place in our brain. Okay, so if we are perpetuating and allowing ourselves to go more than 48 hours, now we're starting to program into a long-term memory. After 21 days, we build it into a long-term memory. After closer to now 63 days, now it becomes a habit. Yes. So it does take 63 days for something to have a habit. So I'm talking about like breaking off the negativity. You also have to know that it's going to take you at least 63 days to learn how to take control of this. And so don't get frustrated.
You have to be committed. You have to be committed. You have to be willing to, because it's going to be hard. And it's not going to be easy. It's a process. Like she said, she does this brain detox, and it is for 21 days, but she have to repeat that 21 days 3 times, you know.
I just do it all every day.
And she do it every day. She does.
I do it every day now. My original commitment to this brain detox that I feel like I need to do a program for everybody. But the original was 21 days, and then I was like, okay, I'll do it 3 times to make it a habit, 63 days, and now I'm addicted to it.
Yeah, I'd be like, what you doing? I'm doing my brain detox. And I'm like,
But I've gotten to where I can only be like 7 minutes. Okay, so, and that's just because I wanted to be able to like always catch it right when things were happening. I wanted to be able to start controlling every thought I was having. Yes. And I'm telling y'all, like we've shared with y'all, like the peace and joy that we...
Yeah, and that's the thing, because we are so overwhelmed and we're so consumed with just life in itself. Like the things, if you have kids, if you have a spouse, you're going to school, or you have a job, you have other things that you're consumed with, and a thought can take up a lot of time. Yeah. Thoughts can take up majority of your time, because you got to we think all day. We think all day. So if we're just constantly thinking about negative things. We just have a negative mindset. But if we can control it, like you say, and we get in the process of breaking those things off, and where she's at, where she's controlling every thought, that's less stressful to her. It gives her more peace. And I'm only thankful. I'm not going to lie. I don't do the brain detox. But because of what I'm learning and because of where I stand, I'm able to catch thoughts. Certain things that used to, I'm a curse and she cursed, piss me off. It don't piss me off anymore. If it did, I can get that, but I could get over it really quick because I know that I have control over my brain. I know that I have control of what I let sit. What I let sit for 24 days to 48 hours. I mean, however it goes, I'm not allowing that anymore because I don't have time.
Yeah.
I don't have time to be caught up in a thought.
Yeah,
I got a life to live.
And I think you even said it, like, you do have a life to live. I'm a little sassy look, too. She said it just a few weeks ago, like, we have to learn how to start thinking about what we're thinking about. Yes. And that's it. Yes. That's truly what this is. Before we get off, though, I just want to give you all something else because we're talking about, like, being able to break this off and all this kind of stuff. In John 16:33, there's two things in this verse that, like, just really stood out to me. So the first thing in John 16:33 is he's telling us that we're going to find peace. We have peace. We have access to peace. So we're not meant to be just in negativity, toxic world. Yeah. We can find peace. But he tells us in this verse, the only way we're going to find peace is through Jesus.
Yes.
So again, this is why the self-help industry is missing the mark, is because they're not connecting us to Jesus. They're not connecting us to the vine. Okay, so the other part of this verse is that where he says that we are going to have trials and tribulations and problems.
Yes.
So here again, we're in a negative world, and God even told us way before, Bible times, that we are going to have negativity. We're going to be faced with it. Yes. But we can fight through it by finding peace, connecting to the vine. So when we have these negative thoughts, you have to, and it's a process, you guys, but you got to free yourself from it because we've already talked about the traps. But when you have it, you have to ask yourself these questions and just really go through and say, I mean, at the end of the day, one of my biggest questions that I ask myself now is, am I going to be proud of my reaction? Am I going to be proud of my response? Because I used to be the type of person I would like, as soon as somebody did something to me, my mind would just start going and I had the words ready to go and I could use them. I'm good with my words. And I just was like, I don't want to use, God gave us words to lift others up, not destroy them. And I was learning how to use my words to destroy people. And I was like, I can't do it anymore. So this is where we have to learn how to get control. So we have to ask ourselves, we have to get into the habit of self-regulating our thoughts, getting control of the conscious mind and asking, like, is this really what we want to be thinking about? Is this true? But then we have to replace it with the correct thought. And this is where memorizing scripture or just opening the Bible, looking for those verses, the I am verses. I am strong. I am loving. I am confident. I am, and you find those and you insert them. So if somebody's done something or said something, find the truth in the Bible. Yeah. Nikisha just said last week, for every storm or every bad thing we've experienced, there's truth.
Yeah, there's a scripture. Any badness, there's a scripture to contradict anything that the enemy, anything that anybody has to say to you. There's a scripture to contradict the worst.
Yes. And then if you're wanting to get this into like a process or start this journey because you're like, wait, okay, I think I want to try this too because again, there's two crazy girls and maybe it might work. Start recording. Grab the notes section on your phone and just like when you start capturing thoughts and like going through it, like
that's good. What like
record
back and back to like the journaling.
Yes, it
relieves you of so much when you decide to just write that stuff down. And even in writing it down, who knows, it can turn into a book. Yeah. And most of your millionaires, they journal. They write these things down. They go through this like meditation. Meditation is so good to bring thoughts to one area. Because right now you're centering everything. You're sitting in quiet and you're centering everything. And at first it's going to seem crazy. It's going to be like, I can't I can't focus. But the more you practice it, the more you do it, the more you can begin to capture those thoughts, and you can just pick them off. One by, like really, like you can really just pick them off. But it takes for you to be disciplined enough to say, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the negativity, because it doesn't do anything for you. It keeps you in a dark place.
Yeah.
You can't go further in negativity. It's a trap.
Yeah, it is a trap. That's why we called it that. So, I mean, and again, no thought is harmless. And so this is why we've got to learn how to start controlling the things. And you guys, like, I'm talking about even like the issues, you know, even as a parent or, you know, as a wife or a husband or, you know, within your family, your friends. I mean, this isn't just for like the one-offs in work world or on social media. Like, no, this is even your personal relationships.
Yes.
And if you have people that are continuing to push your buttons and continuing to bring out the worst in you, then that's a sign. That's a sign. That's a toxic relationship. If you cannot control your reactions and it's continuing to bring out the worst in you and you walk away from that person and you never feel good about yourself, you have to assess it. You have to assess it and say, is this still something I want in my life? Because the more toxic...
So, like you say, the breaking off, it's okay to break off from those people.
Yes.
You know, some people you have to love from a distance. And I'm going to say, in 2019... you better start thinking about yourself, and you better start breaking off from some people, because some people are not giving you the energy that you are giving them. And if you're getting negative energy in return, I just don't have the words for it, because I'm just trying to figure out what sense does it make. It makes no sense to let people feed negativity into you.
And the thing is for most of you, you're probably sitting here like how I was, and you may not even know that you're allowing all this to happen. And so our prayer before we even jumped on tonight was that the seeds will be planted. And so if you're not sure how this relates to you or how you can apply this, or even if you can even move forward in this, because it just feels like, oh my gosh, I got so much crap. We're praying that God, the Holy Spirit, is going to be able to speak into you starting tonight and start showing you the way and start speaking the truth into you.
And then another thing we wanted to put it out there. If y'all have prayer requests, we love to pray. I mean, even if you don't believe, we still want to pray for you. So if y'all want, you know, if you have a request, you can hit us up in the DM. You can email us. We'll drop the email again. But we just want everybody to be on this high. Because life is not about being down and being out. And yes, we're going to go through things, but we can go through some things with a smile on our face. You know, we can go through some things expecting to come out like nothing ever happened. Like it's all about the way we think about it. It's all about the way we process these things. So we are here to do what y'all don't want to do. I'm serious. Like, we enjoy it. It's what's keeping us going. So if you have a prayer request, you don't even know how to start, what to start, we are here to help. On the back end, you know.
Yes. So this is, we're shifting now from like negative toxic thinking with that having control over us, that having power of us, and we're taking back the power. And we're going to start capturing these thoughts and start working through it. And then as you go through the week, and if you're struggling on this, same thing. Reach out to us. Let us know where you're struggling.
We are here. We are here.
They do like to pray.
We do. We pray. Yeah, he probably hears us all the time.
I know.
But we do. We love you guys. We thank y'all for being with us. The whole goal is just to, like she said, plant a seed, because there's a lot of beautiful flowers that need to grow. It's time for y'all to blossom. Now that was cheesy. So we can't wait.
So I'm just like, it sounds great.
So we just hope to see y'all next week. And we do want to say, so for me, I'm a New Orleanian, and I'll be home in New Orleans for Mardi Gras. So we'll be going live on Wednesday next week. Also, tell us what times work for y'all, because we want to be here for you. This is not about us. This is about us getting the message across. So any ideas, any topics, holla at us.
Yes, Let us
Okay,
know.
well, so y'all have a great and blessed week. Try to stay positive. Block the negativity. We sick. We really sick.
I love you.
All right. Have a blessed night.